The following program is an exclusive Disruption Networks production.
It's Bowling for the Bahamas and Celebrity Bowling Challenge to benefit the Bahamas Disaster Relief Fund. Sunday, December 1st, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. AMF Panorama Lanes, 1724 Genesee Street, Utica. Come have fun and enjoy a few games of bowling for a good cause. There will be prizes, food and drink specials, and some special challenges mixed in along the way. $20 per bowler or $100 per team includes 2 games and shoe rental. All proceeds go directly to the Bahamas Relief Foundation. That's Bowling for the Bahamas and Celebrity Bowling Challenge, presented by Disruption Network, Holy Pozzoli, and AMF Panorama Lanes. Sunday, December 1st, 1724 Genesee Street, Utica.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Hey, Disruption Network. This is Mike Sacco, the general manager at Nye Volkswagen of Rome. If you don't know me by name, it's only because you have not received the best deal. There's only one reason to leave Utica, and that's to come see me in Rome and get the best deal on your next new, pre-owned, or certified VW. Mention that you heard this ad from Disruption Network and receive $250 off your next vehicle purchase. You'll know why our customers say, I love my Nye VW. Come see us at 5865 Rome Taberg Road in Rome, or visit us online at nyvwofrome.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar, brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. Here we are for episode 12. I am actually live in Puerto Rico for this episode. There's a signal here saying it's poor connection, Z. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, awesome. Okay. All right, great. So I am here live in Puerto Rico. Can you hear the coquits? Do you know what a coquit is?
I don't know what a coquit, but it sounds like a bird.
They are little frogs,
okay,
and you might be picking them up on the audio, but they are unique to the island of Puerto Rico, and they're really, really loud. So I'm purposely set up outside so people can see them. If there's any Puerto Ricans that tune in tonight, this is a beautiful, unique sound that is almost like, you know, when you walk into a place, it smells like something your grandma used to make, and you're just like, it feels good. Like, this sound is amazing, and it's unique to Puerto Rico. So if you can hear that sound, that's the sound of the coquit. It's a frog. And he's very, very small. It's about the size of a quarter, and it's a very loud sound. So enjoy that sound throughout this podcast. So also, I am here until Monday. It's been such a great trip so far. I have Sean here with me. It's a co-ed music and adventure retreat. He's been playing. We actually just came back from a place where the band took him up on the stage. So if you want to go check those videos out, find him on Facebook. Sean Big Sexy Smith. It was a really, really amazing experience. So a couple of videos haven't been posted yet, but so the co-ed adventure retreat's going well. We've been to Playa Sucia, which is an amazing lighthouse in the southwestern tip of the island. And tomorrow we're headed up into the mountains to go hiking up to some waterfalls in San Sebastian. So that is actually somewhere I've never been. So I'm super excited to go. And the next time I'm down in Puerto Rico, actually, for anyone who's interested to come down here, January 4th through the 11th is the All Women's Wellness Retreat. I have a couple of amazing people who will be joining me for that week. Just recently announced on my Facebook page, Angela Myers, she was part of the Levitt Music Amp series. She drove up here from Iowa with one of her best friends, Abby. And when she said on the stage that she has never been to New York before, I was like, how have you never been to New York? And she literally included New York City in that. So When she said that, I went up to the stage after the show, I introduced myself, and I was like, when can you be here until? And she's like, I don't have to play again until Friday. And I'm like, what are you doing tomorrow? And I basically invited them to come hiking up in the Adirondack Mountains and took them up there after she verified that I wasn't a murderer. And she spent 2 days, ended up coming back to my house, crashing at my house with Abby. And they've been the most amazing people that I have met. Like, it was one of those like serendipitous situations. And she has agreed, as well as Abby, to come on my retreat. She's also a yoga instructor. So as a yogi, as a musician, she will be one of the women on my support staff for the Women's Wellness Retreat in January. So, and Abby's amazing. She's a photographer. She works with crystals. She also, she's been working in Haiti right now doing social work with the people, just bettering the lives of people all over the world. She's been in Africa for a long time. Just another one of those amazing people. So that was a recent huge announcement for me that those women are going to be on my support staff. Plus my chef, who's another amazing woman who was on my retreat last year. A big success, big fan. So she's coming back. So couple of things from me. That was it. If you're interested at all to know anything more about the Women's Wellness Retreat, please reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, or you can email me, heather@unstoppableyoucoach.com. I would love to answer any questions. But if you're interested, now is the time to think about it, because it's a couple months out and you want to get your airfare. Everything else is included in the price. Everything, your food, the expenses that around the island, your rides, everything. So you just got to get your airfare. So you want to check that out soon. So the other thing for Disruption Network, with their Bowling for Bahamas, all the proceeds will go to the Bahamas, the Hurricane Relief Fund that they did. And that's going to be Sunday, December 1st. Please participate in that. It's a family-friendly event. It's a Sunday. The more the merrier. So another really cool thing for Disruption Network, I am really, really proud to be affiliated with these guys. They are out there killing it in everything that they're doing. They're giving back to the communities between the instrument drive, picking up trash. I think just shining light onto a lot of people's stories in the Utica area, what they're doing and beyond. And really celebrating good stuff going on in Utica by having them talk about it on the shows. So there's 11 shows, I think, right now on Disruption Network, and they're all doing good stuff. So I'm honored to say that the Disruption Network is up for Business of the Year in 2019. I think it's awesome. So that's going to be December 12th at Harts Hill Inn. It's kind of like an afternoon luncheon. So today, my episode, it's actually just going to be me. And I have several questions here that people have sent in. So thank you very much for those that have done that, because that's the only reason this is going to work. There's not much I could sit here and talk about by myself without interviewing anyone. So I will basically, I have my laptop on my lap. I'm going to sift through basically the questions. I've kind of shortened them up to keep them easy to read for me. And basically so they can help more people than a specific detail maybe in yours about, and of course any names or people, and rightfully so, to keep things confidential. So I will start by, I thought this one was funny. It's like, what even is a life coach? Okay. Perfect. Like, if I read that in my thing, I would be like, what even is a life coach? Like, that was like how the language was in my head when I read that. And I think it's a fair question, because what the hell is a life coach? That's what I would wonder. I only got into life coaching in the last 3-4 years now. So I think it's a very unregulated industry, honestly. It's something that's a lot of people can say that they are. What does it mean? I mean, I'm not any better at anything than anyone else is. But I certainly can be a head or a sounding board for somebody to come to and say, okay, this is my idea. How can we plan it out? Or come to me and say, this is going on in my life. I don't know who to talk to because I have biased opinions coming from here, and I can kind of be a sounding board. My particular certification is Integrative Holistic Life Coaching. You can see a lot of them popping up in the Utica area because of Rebecca Doherty and Rebecca Silence, her impact in the area, which now she's in Denver. So, but women who have taken the training went out west, took it in Denver, in Wyoming, and became certified. It's an immersion program, about 6 months long. So that's the certification I took. That was a couple of years ago now for me. So I have taken that and also implemented it with other studies and other ways of getting people to kind of sift through their shit. And I do, if you've ever been in my office or you've ever seen me speak at any events, I use whiteboards a lot to kind of use visuals to get people to really sift through the ways that they're thinking about a particular thing that's really stressing them out. So what even is a life coach? You know, some of the wisest people I've seen in the industry of business in general have coaches. We have coaches when we play sports. They're kind of the people that sit back, look at the bigger picture, and help you focus on the game. And that's kind of the best way I like to explain what is even a life coach. We're just helping you look at the bigger picture so you can focus on the bullshit that you're getting through right now. And sometimes it's a lot harder. Sometimes there's a lot more drama. Sometimes you have past experiences that are kind of bubbling up, getting in the way. That's pretty much what I do every day. And I work with men, women, teens, couples, and co-parenting, also co-parenting. So that's been a great out of nowhere, one of those things that I didn't really start getting involved in. And then until it became a passion of mine because of my own co-parenting needs and how difficult that was for me at first and how I needed to come to a conclusion. So that's kind of like fell into my lap. So that's what I do as a life coach. Again, you know, there's many out there. And if you've tried it and you didn't have luck with it, I recommend trying another one because it's a great tool to help you sift through what's going on in your head and it's very normal. So, and everyone has different personalities too. So maybe you had a coach that wasn't really your thing, and that's cool too. It happens. We're not meant to get along with everyone, or I don't think you should always get along with your coach either, because sometimes they tell you things you don't want to hear. But at least food for thought. Anyways, this is what you should be getting from a coach. So I thought that was a great question. Thank you for that one. Even if you're questioning it, if does it have integrity or not? I don't know. That's up for you to decide. So, okay. So here's another one. I've been single for a while. Are my expectations too high? So this one I could relate with. When I think I was single for like 7 years after my divorce. I serial dated. I was on Tinder. I did all the Match, Bumble, all that stuff. Had a blast. But there were some things a couple of things that were like super priority for me that I was like, nope, can't have this, and I'm like, the list went on and on. And then I started to realize wow, this is, maybe too much. Maybe am I a princess or what's going on here? It's a long time. So it was funny because when I got involved in coaching, it came to I became more aware of the fact that there are some things in life that are negotiable, and then there are some things that are not negotiable. So as far as having expectations, I think it's extremely important that people have expectations, but those expectations are on yourself. You kind of got to measure up what's important to you, identify some mega core values, and you have to have the expectation on yourself that you abide by them at all times. So say if you're single and you meet somebody and they're kind of questioning, you're questioning, does this align with my core values? I would say, is it negotiable or is it not negotiable? Pick 30 things that mean so much to you, and then take 5 out of those 30 things that are not negotiable and measure it on that scale. It's okay to have high expectations, but those expectations have to be on yourself. And then the people that you date or the people that are in your life. This question is great because it can go along with family members, and it can also go for just relationships in general at work. If those 5 core values are being questioned, you got to make sure you're measuring up to those core values. Are you being honest? Are you having integrity? Are you pushing yourself towards growth? I know those are my core values: integrity, honesty, growth, community. Those things matter to me. If somebody came into my life and disrespected those things, it's my choice to put the wall up and say, those things will not be disrespected by me by allowing this person to disrespect them. So that's where the expectation should be always on yourself, right? If we have expectations on other people, that's leading to disappointment. We can think that they're going to be a specific way, and then they show up another way, and then we don't listen to that way that they did show up. We kind of ignore it, and then they show up that way again and again and again. It's disappointing. Well, you put your guard down on your own expectations, that they acted this way that you didn't like, and then when they continue to act like that, then you it's really on you, right? So, so if you've been single for a while and your expectations are too high, I would say identify what they mean to you. Find your own core values and really go from there. Because people are going to show up the best ways that they know how. And we need to teach them how we will be treated. And that goes both ways. I would find somebody who has expectations for themselves as well, so they can respect themselves and honor that they have things that matter to them. So they're not kind of sucked into who you are as a person either. So it just gives two solid people and when coming into a relationship, if that makes sense. And feel free, if you're questioning anything I'm saying, pop in the comments here. I will be observing them. Actually, I got to open up that window so I can see it really clear. And I will answer to the best of my knowledge, right here live. And then at the end of the show as well, I will go back and see some of the questions that I did not see. And then, all right, next question. You seem like such an open-minded person. How did you get to be that way? Well, I've seen a lot in my life. I grew up in a very, very, very open-minded family. Especially, even anything from like I had a gay uncle who was just amazing to me. It was a huge, huge impact in my life. He passed away from AIDS in the 90s, and that was a big deal. And I grew up in a small town, so that was, kind of one of those big deals that we didn't care. It was somebody we cared about. So I was raised to be open-minded from the get-go just because my family was that way. But now in my adult life, I think I've seen enough to say that when you truly are confident in the actions you're taking in your life and you're doing them because it means something to you and you love them so much, then you can honor that the person next to you, if they're doing things out of integrity and out of love, that they're probably not hurting anyone either. And as long as they're not breaking the law, and they're not hurting people, genuinely, they're probably making decisions out of love. And why shouldn't they be allowed to do that? So keeping an open mind is because you have the confidence in your own decisions and your own ways of living and your own things that you're involved in your life. And then you trust that they also are making them out of, the intention of love as well. So, and then it doesn't shake your confidence. It's kind of funny when, especially now this turmoil of everybody being torn and split, in politics, the Democrats, the Republicans, the this, the that, in the end of the day, like when we're making good decisions as good people, we can find a lot of similarity. But yeah, if somebody who's religious knocks on your door trying to sell you their story, you don't want to hear it. But in the end of the day, they're just doing what they believe in, right? So we don't have to agree with it. We can find it very annoying, but should we think they're horrible people? Should we think they're out there doing a horrible thing? That's not for me to decide, right? So keeping an open mind is just recognizing that people are just doing what they believe in. And if you're confident in your own values, it shouldn't shake what you believe in. So you can respond to things the way that you would like, and you can sell your story. But be sure that if you're trying to sell somebody your belief systems and trying to tell them how they should live their lives, it's just as annoying as somebody coming to the door during the dinner hour and knocking, trying to sell their religion to you. So keep that in mind as you get really passionate about your beliefs. Like, it's one thing to be passionate about your beliefs, but if you're passionate about something, get out in the world and work doing it. Don't try to sell it to people sitting at the bar or sitting at, sending me something on my Facebook page because of something I said, or, get out in the world that you live in the reality of your life and implement it by living it and acting it out. That's what I would say. I became an open-minded person because I've seen a lot of things, and I believe that there's a lot of good people out there, and we are doing the best that we can in many ways. So, expose yourself to many different things, and it will help you open that mindset that you have. So in any ways, and even in me, in times when I feel like, whoa, I seem pretty judgmental on that, get out there, work in it, get to know it, get to see what they're doing, and you'll become more aware of like what's actually happening. So that's how I got to be that way, hands-on. So, okay, next question. What would be your top 5 questions to help you really get to know someone? This one's hard because I I mean, one of the most important questions, I'd say, so I don't know if I'll be able to think of 5, but I will think of as many as I can. One of the important ones, I think, that I identified in the beginning, well, I could tell you a story about it too, is your core values, right? What I was just explaining. So actually, if you want to think of an assignment for yourself to do, I don't know if any of my viewers journal or do anything like that, but one of the assignments I use a lot is to get people to identify 30 things that mean so much to them. And this isn't a question you could have on a date or getting to know someone, but you should do it for yourself. Identify 30 things and then narrow it down. Pick like 10 things that are super important. And then out of those 10, pick 5 that are not negotiable. And just get really solid and remember what they are. So when somebody's getting to know you, you can share. Like, one of the most important things to me is growth. One of the most important things to me is community, having integrity, and just sharing those things. So you invite them to also share what's important to them. I think it's a really good way to get to know somebody, because especially if you come from a really heavy family background and you're hanging out with someone that really doesn't care about family, and that's one of your core values, that can really tell you quickly, if this question wasn't pertaining to dating, right? That can tell you very quickly if this person is going to be compatible with you or not, because your core values. A lot of people see Sean and I together and they make jokes like, how the hell did that happen? You're so different. You're so different, but right in the very, very beginning, core values, they're on the table in the beginning and you're not messing with them, right? Those have to be honored. And so I would say the first question is like, what is important to you? What's important to you so I can understand more about you? Another question, people who don't have a vision. It's kind of like that whole thing about if you're planning, the failure to plan is planning to fail. So one of the things I would say is really important is get a vision, So ask somebody, like, what's your vision? Where do you see yourself? And there's a lot of people who don't have it. And that's okay sometimes, especially when you go through a little bit of change and you need to kind of adjust things currently. Where is the vision for 5 years if you've kind of like have some turmoil going on right now? I get it. It could be foggy, but it's important that as things settle down, that you do have a vision that you're thinking about. So you're planning it. So every day matters, that you wake up in the morning and any little tedious task that you need to do, it matters. So I think it's a solid piece really that helps you get to know someone, because you can see what's important to them and why they're willing, the why behind their reason to wake up every day, I think that those are two main important things. What's their vision and what's important to them, and that will tell you so much. I really don't know if I could think of 5 off the top of my head, but big things. I mean, also asking just about history, family life, I think is really cool, because it makes people feel special. And when you kind of hear a little bit about people in their past, it's more sustainable in getting to know why they do the things that they do, or, just who they are standing there in front of you, right? Regardless of where they're going in life, but where they've come from. So it's really cool to hear people's past, their favorite things, favorite foods, stuff like that. So, but big thing is the vision, and then also the core values. So especially if people complain a lot and they're not willing to cut the crap out of their life, like they're the ones, like, you want to make sure they get their core values in touch, so then they honor themselves and it doesn't bring like bullshit into your life. So, all right. So another question I have, what was your most life-changing travel experience where you were out of your element? Well, I've said this on the show before, but I've studied in Brazil. I moved down there at the age of 17 years old with a suitcase with a year's worth of whatever I thought I would need, and lived there for a year and never came home for that entire year. Not for Christmas, not for any holidays at all. And I grew up in a very, very small town in Madison, New York. I graduated with 38 other kids, very small school. And from there, moved to a city outside of Sao Paulo. It's called Rio Claro. And I mean, it was like moving into Syracuse. It was a city about the size of Syracuse, but in a foreign country with a different language. So when you talk about out of my element, when I first arrived down there, for the first 2 months, I didn't even speak a word of the language. I learned how to say like hello and how are you, but it was very, very difficult. And if any Boilermakers watching, Boilermaker runners watching, you know the difference of like exhaustion when you're training, doing runs, long runs, whatever. At the end of the day, you're just physically exhausted. Well, learning another language like that in a full immersion situation, you are mentally exhausted, but it gives you that same effect. You just can't wait to go to bed. So it took me a couple of months, but about 6 months into my year down there, I was fluent reading and writing, but it was exhausting. So when you talk about like getting out of my element and being in a traveling experience, that was it. By far, that was it. So just because of the age and the lack of experience that I had in my life, but it was by far the most incredible, changed me the most. I would say it's like fundamentally the reason why I just love to be in Puerto Rico. It's a really good blend of, Hispanic culture, Latin America, but also it has that little twist of America in it because it is a territory of the United States. So it's really funny. You'll be driving around and it's like completely like Puerto Rican looking, very Latin looking. And then you'll see the American flag flying on the building or the U.S. Postal Service truck driving down the street. It's kind of funny. So, but Brazil by far. And that was a wonderful experience. So another challenging travel experience I had is that I came back from Brazil, relocated to Utica for the first time in my life. That was my first experience residing in Utica. Met my ex-husband who was Norwegian, and we lived in Norway for 2 years. And that was a very, very opposite experience. So they have a very different culture, more cold, very real people, amazing, but very different approach to making friendships and things. So it was very, very challenging for me too, in the exact opposite way. So, so I am a huge believer in traveling. I think it's amazing. I think people need to get their children to do it more. Today, this was hysterical. Today at the beach, we're standing there. These guys came over. It looked like a father and a son. Started talking to us. It's like a couple of men and women. It wasn't anything. And the wife of one of the guys came over and starts talking to him in Spanish. Oh, I see when we walked over here, your conversation got over really fast. And she's going on. And I'm like, I understood everything. And then they started calling us gringos, like behind our back, but in front of us because it was another language. But situations like that, it hasn't happened often in my life, but it has happened a few times where I understood exactly what was going on. And they thought that we were just naive. And it was just funny. And I'm like ready to like say something. But traveling can change your life. And that's one particular situation where it's kind of funny how travel has really changed my life. And sometimes it's not really, it wasn't really useful in that moment. I wanted to like say something to her, but when we're in the grocery store and we need to find something, it's very useful to have the languages. I speak Spanish, Portuguese now, and English. So travel is huge. Gets you out of your element. I think it forces you to grow, which is always, always, always really good for your overall well-being. So great question. I like traveling, so I like that question. Okay, so here's a good one. Recently, I have been really torn on making a decision that would drastically change my life. I feel like it's better for me, but my husband does not support it because it's a risky decision. How can I get him to see how important this is for me? This is a really good question. I think this is a common question for spouses, and it's not always one or a husband or a wife. It's everybody. When we see change that possibly could force us to change, it gets very scary. So that is one of the most. I think it's an easy way to introduce drama to a relationship is to introduce change. And when you're going to make a change in your life, it could potentially force them to make a change in there. So it's scary. It's very important, though, that you have your vision and honor it. And when they love you, they have to honor that as well. But but you have to meet in the middle, yada, yada. Yes, I get it. But when you have your relationship over here, that's super solid with yourself, and they have their relationship over here that's super solid with themselves, you're able to have this like overlying relationship between the two of you that's super solid for you guys together. So if you're looking to make a decision that's going to drastically change your life, and it's in line with your core values and the things that are most important for you, and it's going to keep this piece of this, if there was like a triangle in my hand right now, right? and you're over here and your spouse is over here, if this piece is requiring a drastic change that you think is solid to the foundation of this overall thing that sits here together balanced on two people, it's super important that this side sees the integrity happening on this side. So this is something I work with. I'd be more than happy to schedule a consultation and talk with you more about it. But I would question, make the decision out of love and not fear. If your husband is not encouraging it because he's scared, he needs to face that fear. That fear is his, it's not yours. And that's really big. Sometimes we get scared for our family members or our spouses to do things because of our fears and the things that we've been through. But in fact, they haven't had those same experiences and they don't have the same fears. If they feel it's necessary for their overall well-being and it's beneficial to them as a person, I think that you will also see a benefit in that if you support them. Does it have integrity? Does it have growth? Does it have all these? Then yes, go for it. And if you're still struggling, if that answer wasn't good enough, feel free to reach out to me anytime if you want me to elaborate more on that. But in any case, it's really important that you maintain your own well-being because it's a crucial part of this piece, this balance in a relationship. So if you're not supporting something your spouse wants to do, ask yourself why and go deeper. So, okay, the next. My schedule lately has been completely overwhelming. How do you know when enough is enough? This is a question I often see. I hear it in my office because they're coming, some people come because they're overwhelmed. And again, another question that can be answered by the tool of your core values. Identify what's important to you and stick to that like a rule book. Like if it doesn't measure up on this, if it's not important to if it doesn't follow suit to the 5 most important things to me, get it out. If it's not 100% hell yes, then it's a hell no. So that way, immediately, the sense of overwhelm, usually you can find yourself involved in things as a matter of control, not as a matter of benefit to yourself. It's more about to try to help other people. If you are not the beneficiary of this, and you have no reason in doing it to begin with, and it's really not in your own core values or your belief system of this is important to me, then question why you're doing it. If you're helping somebody else that you truly care about, and it's overwhelming to you because it's outside of your, training or outside of your realm of knowledge or outside of just the amount of time you have, question why you're doing it. You can offer to support friends and help them, but also identify if you're in overwhelm, where you also need the support as well. So if you're in a situation and you say, I really could delegate this task, but they might not do it this way, or they might do it that way. Well, then you're basically taking responsibility for your own overwhelm because you're trying to control everything that somebody else could be doing. Doesn't matter how somebody else would do it as long as they get it done, right? And if they're not doing it the way they need to be doing it and they're the people who are supposed to be doing it, then find somebody who will do it right and identify who that support is and have them do it. So basically overwhelm is we're always responsible for the overwhelm that exists in our life, for the lack of boundaries on things we shouldn't be involved in or the lack of support. If we don't have support, find support. Identify the things that you need to have support on and that are available and get it. Have a housekeeper. Man, some people can't afford it. And that's very real. Like that's kind of support that, you can't have. But you can probably ask somebody else who lives in your house that, hey, I need help with this, and lay it out like that, but without persecuting either. Because if you're asking for support or you're asking for help by any means from someone, it's best to explain that I need this to happen because this is what it means to me, rather than I can't take it anymore. This has to happen. I think most houses experience that, when that sense of overwhelm hits mom's pissed off. Now the whole house is in chaos because she's screaming, and, that's not beneficial. Create a schedule, get rid of things that are not important to you. Use that tool of core values, measure it up. If it's not important to you, get it out of your schedule. And just take control over your life. People are out there very successful who juggle a lot of things in life, who have the same amount of time in the day that you do. So if you are overwhelmed and the constant, I don't have time, that's bullshit. That's a story you're telling yourself. So get the things out of your life that you shouldn't be involved in and focus on the things that are most important to you. And things that do still need to happen, that you have got to happen, and you need to identify support for them, identify what they are, identify what you need in support, and make it happen. So, and that's another reason why it's important to have a vision, because that vision is in the back of your head at all times, that it's really important that if I'm going to succeed at getting through this process right now of a lot of shit on my schedule, I'm going to wake up, plan it, and get these tasks done no matter how tedious they are, because the vision is so important. So another reason why it's important for people to have a vision. So, okay, I have, this one was a really long one. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a custody battle between a mom and a dad. The dad was not even the biological father to the child. It's lacking some information that would be really important, I think, for me to go into detail, depending on how old the child is. So I hope you're tuning in. I hope you're listening. But in the end, the child seems upset that this father was not the biological father, and the stepmom is the one that wrote it in. And they feel the stepmother and the man who's not the biological father, but he has raised the child that way, are upset that the mom eventually told this child that he's not the father. And he feels a bit betrayed, but he still pays support, still loves the child, and they feel that the child has been turned on them. So, but now they're back in the picture because they believe that there's consistency, it's important for the daughter, yada, yada. But the question in the end was, how can dad rebuild the bond and place her back in his life as dad when she knows that that's not the biological father? Okay, so this is a question coming from the stepmother for the dad. This is something that dad needs to step up and be the dad that he's always been. He has to be confident that through this process of, a lot of bullshit and drama, that his love for her can't be shaken by anyone trying to intervene or recreating the relationship. He has to create that relationship regardless of what's going on. I think children read their parents' confidence level. If you're really, really, if you feel that the daughter has pulled back a lot, I would say look at yourself and see how much you have pulled back. And in this opportunity, what you feel she's pulling back, then maybe you need to come closer, because that's, we can only be responsible for our own actions. So if you feel that she's pulling back, you need to go be stronger. And if it means not to be in her face, but just to do other things that show her that you're still there and that you care. And then hopefully that she understands. Kids are paying attention and they are watching, and they will eventually say and observe and mention things that they've witnessed, including love. So you can't control if people are trying to tell children terrible things. It's horrible. I'm sorry that it happens. I'm sorry for children when that happens. But in the end of the day, children will know in time what's right, because they will have their own gut feelings and their own intentions, their own, the ways to measure what's going on in their lives. Like, is this something I want to be involved in, or is this something I want to be involved in? They will have that own natural gut feeling on what feels good and what doesn't feel good. So take responsibility for your own actions and stop trying to control what the mom's doing. That's on her. Let your daughter be the judge of that. If you feel like that's your daughter, treat her like your daughter, and just continue to do it. If you're paying child support and that's not your daughter and you feel like you should get a prize because you're doing it, that's not the right reason. Ask yourself why you want to be involved. Why do you pay the child support? Is it because she's your daughter? Then that's it. It's your daughter. If you're questioning it, or questioning if you should still be doing it or any of that, I would say take some deeper looks into yourself, into your actions, and see why you're doing that. Unless you really truly feel that there's love behind that decision, So if there's any more I can answer on that, again, that was a really long question with a lot of stuff that some of it didn't really make sense because it's all typed up. But gladly, if you want me to go in deeper in that at all, please message me. I would be honored to shine more light a little bit if I can, knowing more details on that. So thank you again for that question. So looks like I have one last question, and then I'm going to head over to see the questions on Facebook, if there's any. I have no idea. I'm not looking at it right this second. So this question came in person, and I wrote a note here, but basically the story was that this woman had a loss of a loved one in her family, and she was really struggling with getting rid of their stuff. And I couldn't relate more with this situation. I think when my mother passed, I don't think it was 2 years before we cleaned out her closet. It was so difficult for me. This was like 10 years ago. There was a lot going on in my life at that time with my divorce and whatnot. But in any case, some of the tools that I've learned through life coaching has taught me a lot. And one of the things that I've learned is that when we hold on to things that belonged to somebody else or that were meant for somebody else, it's really we're holding on to them. But in all reality, we're creating clutter in our homes. We're creating areas for dust to accumulate. We're creating work for our own selves to do. Well, that person is in heaven or is in the next life or whatever we believe in, right? But those things really have nothing to do with the life that we continue to live, other than create chaos. It's clutter, dusty, messy stuff. And when we see it, we feel pain. Sometimes we see it and we feel sad. We miss them, So I would say to question, I have a couple of things that are really important to me, but they bring me joy. And they have memories that are amazing, or they're just beautiful and they meant something to my family. So it's an honor to have it. But I don't have an absurd amount of things holding on to my mother's existence, So if you've lost somebody that's important to you, and this woman, it was actually a child. If you've lost something or somebody who's important to you, I am so sorry that has happened to you. And I highly recommend to grieve and do what you need to do to get through this process. But also understand that it's going to come and go and come and go. Grief is a very, very difficult emotion, a natural emotion. But holding on to their stuff is like holding on to them, and that's not reality. So it's like clenching it's resisting the fact that they're no longer here. And that's a very difficult thing to do. So, but it eventually just creates clutter and chaos. So I encourage you to sift through, hold every piece, hug it, say goodbye to it, do what you need to do, but don't hold on to it in your life as chaos, as a place to collect dust and create work for you now that these people are gone. So if that helps at all, I hope it does, because it's something that a lot of people go through. Everybody experiences at one point or another death in their life, and it's not easy to have to take care of these things. So, but it's necessary, and we all must go on. And going on is also recognizing that life is never the same. Grief happens. Look at it straight in the face when it does, and on to the next thing. So I'm so sorry that has happened, but the reality is that you're still here, and there's just an amazing life ahead of you that could be enjoyed. So that is all that I had as far as sent in questions. So thank you everyone who participated in that. This was great because I wanted to make sure that I have consistency in my podcast. So this was a night I was wondering what I should do, and this was a great way to keep the consistency, but also for my viewers to thank you so much for always tuning in and to hear what I have to say. I don't know everything about everything, but I have been through enough to try to shine light on things that matter to you. So I'm honored to be able to do that. I'm going to go back over here. Z, can you hear me?
Of course I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Any questions that you can see?
We just got a couple of comments, no questions. Your aunt's checking in.
Okay.
Aunt Dee Dee's saying hi,
Okay.
and she's not here asking questions because she's a know-it-all. She admits that she's a know-it-all.
Yeah. Yeah, she's always asking me questions.
And you,
Hi, Aunt Dee Dee. She called me when I was out to dinner tonight, so I'm sure I'm going to hear about that. I didn't answer it because we were out to eat.
and then Nick is saying this is such a great podcast. So thank you, Nick, for checking in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Good. Okay. So this it's okay that we're cutting it short. I'm glad that we even lasted this long. I was worried because it's really hard to talk by yourself for this long. So the next episode it's 2 weeks from tonight. It will be it's the elementary school principal from Madison. And this was cool because even though I went to Madison, that's not how I found him. I saw somebody post their homework assignment for their kindergartner from the local area on Facebook, and I was looking at it and I was like, what in the hell are we doing to these kids? So immediately I made a post on Facebook like, I need to find a high school principal and I want him to be on my podcast. And many people posted his name, and he was voted the one that should do it. So he agreed, and he's going to come on the show, which I think is great. So what we're going to be talking about, I hope, is, what is going on in schools these days and what kids are up to. I don't know. We don't even have to disagree on any of it. I just want to know what's going on. And if there's overwhelm in the classroom, what's he kind of doing to address it? So kids need to be kids, and, I want to hear what he has to say. So in any case, that's 2 weeks from tonight. I don't have my book in front of me. I have no clue what day that is. And we will be live on Disruption Network at 9 p.m. And I will be back in New York. So, one other thing, too, I wanted to say is that, so I'm in Puerto Rico. 2 years ago, last month, the end of September was Hurricane Maria. I did a lot of relief work down here at that time. And flying into San Juan, you can still see blue tarps over properties, which is incredible because that was 2 years ago and people are still waiting. So, or they're just living with tarp on their house because they don't have the funding to get anything fixed yet. So there is still work to be done down here. So if you are interested to travel to Puerto Rico, do it. Whether it's on my retreat or it's something else, come to Puerto Rico. They are ready for tourists. So I want to make sure I threw that out there. So it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And if you don't believe me, watch my Facebook page because we were posting pictures of the places that we've been going to this week, and it's incredible. So anyhow, thank you so much to everybody who sent me questions. This has been really quick. I can't believe that it took up pretty much most of the hour. I will be here 2 weeks from now, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Disruption Network, where we have more unstoppable stories, unstoppable people, unstoppable you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
It's Bowling for the Bahamas and Celebrity Bowling Challenge to benefit the Bahamas Disaster Relief Fund. Sunday, December 1st, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. AMF Panorama Lanes, 1724 Genesee Street, Utica. Come have fun and enjoy a few games of bowling for a good cause. There will be prizes, food and drink specials, and some special challenges mixed in along the way. $20 per bowler or $100 per team includes 2 games and shoe rental. All proceeds go directly to the Bahamas Relief Foundation. That's Bowling for the Bahamas and Celebrity Bowling Challenge, presented by Disruption Network, Holy Pozzoli, and AMF Panorama Lanes. Sunday, December 1st, 1724 Genesee Street, Utica.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broken everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving. relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Hey, Disruption Network. This is Mike Sacco, the general manager at Nye Volkswagen of Rome. If you don't know me by name, it's only because you have not received the best deal. There's only one reason to leave Utica, and that's to come see me in Rome and get the best deal on your next new, pre-owned, or certified VW. Mention that you heard this ad from Disruption Network and receive $250 off your next vehicle purchase. You'll know why our customers say, I love my Nye VW. Come see us at 5865 Rome Taberg Road in Rome, or visit us online at nyvwofrome.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar, brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.